Hey guys, Noel here, and it is Saturday night, and we got to keep our voice down because I don't want to wake up Wifey and Junior. But before I go to bed, and before I get super busy with stuff I got to do this coming week, I thought it would be fun to do a video game review for the video game review section of the YouTube channel. And tonight, we're going to actually be talking about Hideo Kojima's cyberpunk masterpiece, the highly sought after game for the Sega CD. That, my friends, is Snatcher. Now, if you don't have hundreds of dollars to spend on eBay for this game, you can get a high-quality reproduction off of Etsy, because there's really no other way you can get a hard copy of this game outside of spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars. If you do have hundreds of dollars to spend or find this game at a flea market or wherever, gaming convention, get it. It's excellent, or we're going to talk about it. So this game here is a video game that was made in 1988 originally for Japanese gaming PCs like the PC-88 and MSX, and it actually is highly sought after because it was made largely by Hideo Kojima, the creative force behind the Metal Gear series. This game actually came out in between the first two Metal Gear games for the MSX, and the original version of this game had two acts. The Sega CD version, which is what we're going to be playing, and all other versions. This game came out for the TurboGrafx CD, known as the PC Engine, and the Sega CD and Sony PlayStation in the mid-90s in graphically updated but more censored form. But this Sega CD version, in my opinion, is the definitive version of this game, mainly because it includes an extra scene in the opening and has pretty much everything that every other version. It doesn't pretty much have it. It has basically everything in every other version of Snatcher. The Sega CD version, since it was released for international audiences, has a little bit of censorship and tweaking to certain things, but it's nothing that takes away from the gameplay experience. This game is done with English voice actors for the Sega CD as opposed to Japanese. The English voice actors are good. I always tend to prefer Japanese myself, though. Now, this game is a visual novel, so you're going to be doing a lot of reading and investigating, and I'm going to show you that momentarily. But what I want to show you right now is when you're not reading and investigating, this game uses the Konami Justifier, which basically means that it's kind of like Duck Hunt. You aim a basically video game gun controller at your TV, and you can kind of shoot targets on the TV, but instead of shooting ducks like in Duck Hunt, you're going to be shooting snatchers, which, if you're familiar with the cyberpunk genre and the movie Blade Runner, the snatchers are somewhere in between replicants and terminators and vampires. So have fun with that. I'm going to actually show you guys an action sequence of this game. And if you don't have a justifier, you can just use the controller. It's fine. I'm going to show you guys an action sequence of this game, and then I'm going to show you guys the opening to this game so you can get a flavor of the look and feel of this game. And we'll talk a little bit about this game as we're going through this here. I want to try to minimize spoilers for this game because it's got a very engrossing, engaging story and plot, even though both the version on gaming PCs, which are on floppy disks, and the versions that are on CD, they both end on cliffhangers. The CD versions have 3 acts, which is better than the 2-act version that's on the PC-88 and MSX, but both basically leave you wanting more. So right now we're at the end of the game, and I'm just going to show you an action sequence near the end of the game, so you guys get a flavor of what the action's like. Then we'll show you some plot in a second here, but from the opening, so there's not going to be any spoilers, so don't sweat it if you want to actually play this game and get surprised. So I'm going to hit the lights here. All right, let's zoom our camera in here. And again, this is pretty hard, so I may very well lose, but I just want to show you guys what the action sequences in this game are like. So I'm going to hit continue investigation. And here we go. So basically what I got to do is I just got to keep my eye on these things coming in through the door. These are, I got to hit A first to use my gun. And basically just keep my eye on where they're coming and don't let them outnumber me. And I just use the controller to aim my gun, either down diagonal, up diagonal, down, whatever. So it takes a little bit of practice, but you can do this fairly easily. Although I might lose here, so it's not super easy. See, now I'm starting to get outnumbered because I'm not keeping up well enough with these. and they're getting shots off on me. And this is toward the end of the game, so there's a big swarm here, and so I just lost here. But yeah, that's an example of an action sequence here. Good old Sonic. Sega. Okay, so now, if you're not familiar with the cyberpunk genre basically is about technology and human hubris turning on its master. So basically, cocky human beings who overemphasize the importance of modernity and technology end up having those projects turn on them with apocalyptic results. There's a common theme in cyberpunk genre, and it's definitely a common theme in Snatcher, which is a cyberpunk adventure. So what I want to do is I'm going to show you guys the opening to this here. So new game, and here's just our things that we can mess with here. Here's our controls. Here's our joypad. This shows we're using the joypad. I'm going to set this to mono, and I'm not using a justifier, so I don't have to worry about adjusting the gun here. And again, this is a text-heavy game, so never let it be said that video games don't involve reading. So. But it's also heavily cinematic, which you'll see. So basically, it's a mix between reading, investigation, cinematics, anime and manga, and basically Duck Hunt. This story is dedicated to all those cyberpunks who fight against injustice and corruption every day of their lives. This game has more political intrigue than Blade Runner, which you'll see right now. Hopefully you can hear this okay. Turn this up a little.
Lucifer Alpha, a powerful biological weapon under secret development there, is released into the atmosphere, creating a deadly biohazard. Carried by the trade winds, Lucifer Alpha spreads throughout Eastern Europe and Eurasia, destroying 80% of the populace. Half of the world's people die. The greatest biohazard in history later becomes known simply as the catastrophe. But at this time, who could have possibly imagined that the ultimate biohazard wouldn't occur for another half-century? 50 years later, mankind faces its greatest crisis. The appearance
the Neo Kobe Times, the newspaper of record.
Origin are unknown. Is it a new form of weapon? Or perhaps an invasion from some other world? They appear during winter, killing humans and infiltrating society by taking the place of their victims. Employing an artificial skin, they can sweat and even bleed. Part organic, part machine, they're almost impossible to distinguish from those they kill. As they steal their victims' bodies in order to take their place, these mysterious invaders become known as Snatchers.
So you can see here that Snatchers look a lot like Terminators when they don't have their skin on. Again, even though this is not a authentic copy of Snatcher, it plays very well in the Sega CDX, which makes me happy. So right now we're going to watch the opening to Snatcher, and I'm just going to tell you about some of the themes in Snatcher, some things that you may want to ask yourself. I'm going to try not to go into too many details, though. But yes, clearly this game takes place in Japan. In the future, 2040s is when this game takes place. I believe it's 2044. And unlike Blade Runner, which doesn't talk too much about politics, it's 2047 is when this game takes place. This game deals pretty significantly plot-wise with politics in the Soviet Union in the late 1980s, because that's when this game actually came out. This game came out in 1988 originally, so that's when the story was crafted. So, you might want to ask yourself, what are the Snatchers' relationship to the Soviet Union? Your character's name is Gillian Seed. He looks quite a bit like Decker from Blade Runner. And even though this is a cyberpunk game, it's also got a bit of the buddy cop genre thrown in. However, your buddy is a small version of Metal Gear. Like the boss from Metal Gear Solid, except he's a bit like Alf, if you're familiar with 80s sitcoms. So yes, it's you in an Alf-like version of Metal Gear, and that is just as good as it sounds, my friends. So your character, even though he looks like Decker from Blade Runner, is a bit more charismatic. This is a great example of some of the aesthetic of the game here, and the style of animation and artwork, which I love. So yeah, basically, you're kind of a mysterious but good-natured. There's Hideo Kojima right there. Mysterious yet good-natured detective with amnesia. You're something of a ladies' man. You know how to crack jokes, but you know how to be serious when need be. And there's actually a really likable cast of characters in this game. You may want to ask yourself, who among them may be Snatchers? Maybe some, maybe none. Who among them could you potentially be related to? Maybe some, maybe none. What's your relationship to the Soviet Union? Maybe some, maybe none. Who knows? These are things that you may or may not encounter as you play the game Snatcher. So I'm just being a little silly here. Now, this is exclusive to the Sega CD version, so enjoy this.
How was work? Everything okay?
Gillian, what is it? What's wrong?
Jamie, I've become a junker.
A junker? Gillian, but why?
Jamie, you know why. It's the only way we can regain our lost memories. Snatcher is the only word that keeps coming back every time we try to remember our pasts. I have to face them to find out why.
Yes, but I can sense that there is something terrible hidden in our past. And if we remember it, it will destroy us.
Jamie! I'm going now. Jamie!
What? I can't hear you.
Gillian Seed, estimated age 31. 3 years ago, he and his wife Jamie Seed are taken into protective custody in the Siberian Neutral Zone by the 17th Siberian Investigative Force. Both Gillian and Jamie suffer from severe amnesia. Their memories of events prior to being picked up in Siberia lost in a mysterious mental fog. 2 years ago, after a vain attempt to rebuild their marriage, Jamie and Gillian separate. Following extensive special military training, Gillian is ordered to report to Neo-Kobe City as a junker, effective today.
So, junkers are essentially the same as Blade Runners, if you know the movie Blade Runner. The Snatchers, however, are not as human as the replicants. I mean, visually they're human, but they don't have the same soul, so to speak, as the replicants do. Although, in some sense, there's some interesting motivations for the Snatchers. I don't want to go into too much detail, but they're not totally two-dimensional. So clearly, for the Sega version, you get the Sega billboard up there. Act 1, Snatch. So, I just want to show you guys before we end this, basically what a lot of this game is going to be like here. So you're going to basically be investigating the area around you. It's first-person perspective, and when you trigger events, you'll see your character. It'll trigger an animated cutscene, and there'll be some cinematics that you'll get to engage in. Animation ranges between minimal to pretty much with a lot of movement, but it's always engaging, entertaining, and well done. I really can't recommend this game highly enough. I beat this game and I still am playing this game, so that should tell you how good it is. So basically, here's Mika. She's going to be, one of our people here that we encounter at Junker headquarters. So here's an example of what you might do to trigger a cutscene. I'm going to try to enter Junker headquarters. Only authorized personnel may enter. Sorry, I misread that. Only authorized personnel are allowed beyond this point. So I'm going to try talking to her.
I'm Gillian Seed. I've been assigned to Junker headquarters effective today.
Oh, you're Mr. C. Please forgive me. My name is Mika Slayton. I'm the administrative assistant and operator here at Junker headquarters. Very pleased to meet you.
So I can now talk to her some more here. I can flirt with her. Gillian, something of a ladies' man. Tell me a bit about yourself. About me, isn't that a bit forward, Mr. Seed? Well, let me tell you about myself first, then maybe you'll tell me. I can see you're very smooth with the ladies. So then what else I can do besides talking to her? I can look around, and what's around me will be described to me. So let's say I want to look around the area. It seems to be Junker headquarters. Security looks really tight. Mika's asking me how do I like it. I bet you'd like to see the office, right? Maybe I'll try to talk to her again. I've been assigned to Junker headquarters effective today. You just told me that, Gillian. Alright, maybe I'll investigate the area here. There's nobody around but the operator. Well, let me try talking to her again. She's like, I have a pretty good memory, Mr. Seed, especially if it's concerning an attractive man like you. See, depending on how you talk to the girls, they'll give you positive or negative feedback. Just like the real world. And maybe we can ask her something here. Ask her about Neo Kobe. It's my first time in town. Oh, you'll get used to it right away. Everyone's pretty welcoming. There are many different types of ethnic groups and people here in Japan, but it's not Japan, if you know what I mean. This is an interesting thing. This game has its own universe. There's actually a computer room you can go into and learn a lot about the background of this world. So it's actually a really well fleshed out environment. So, yeah. So this is Snatcher, guys. You basically read, talk, investigate, trigger cutscenes, and then that pushes you further into the plot. And when you see action scenes, it looks like what I showed you at the start of the video. So, I'll hit the lights. I'll pan over. And I'll bid you all farewell for now. So look forward to our next review. And until next time, guys, my name is Noel, and I highly recommend that you play Snatcher for Sega CD. Bye-bye.